When we watch the television news every night and see reporters in some of the most dangerous trouble spots in the world, very few of us are aware of just what risks they take doing their job. Sometimes those risks can be life-changing, and they were for my colleague, the BBC security correspondent Frank Gardner. He was in the Saudi Arabian capital, Riyadh, when his crew came under attack. The cameraman, Simon Cumbers, was killed, and the shooting damaged Frank's spine, leaving him in a wheelchair. More than a decade on, he remains one of the most uplifting and positive people you will ever hope to meet. Vicky Beeching went to talk to him to find out what those past 11 years have been like, and she began by asking about his fascination for the Middle East.
I think a lot of people who love travelling and love languages are somehow kind of inescapably drawn to the mystique of the desert. And that's, I know it's a real cliche, but in my case, I'd met this explorer. My mum introduced me to Sir Wilfrid Thesiger, who was this sort of hangover from the Victorian era, really. And he had all these amazing black and white photographs of camel trains disappearing over undulating dunes in the Wahiba Sands or the empty quarter of Arabia. So I later went and lived with the Bedouin in Jordan, which was a real experience.
Your parents were diplomats.
Yeah.
Now, your mother was actually one of the very first women ever to enter the diplomatic service. Is that right? She sounds like a very,
she was number
very
3.
inspiring woman.
She was really inspiring. She died just after Christmas. She was 91. She had to wade through a lot of sort of misogynist, sexist prejudice. You can imagine what the Foreign Office was like in 1950.
I bet.
You know,
yeah.
You're just a girl, type that kind of thing. And
Didn't they make them resign when they got married? Wasn't
she
that
had to
policy?
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, years later, when Jack Straw was Foreign Secretary, and there was, I think, a Women's Day at the Foreign Office, and my mum went with my wife, and he personally apologised. He said, you know, obviously it wasn't nothing to do with him. It was predecessors way before, but he said, you know, on behalf of Her Britannic Majesty's Foreign Office, I apologise.
So in June 2004, something happened that changed your life forever. Tell me how that day unfolded.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We were right at the end of our assignment, and we thought we'd finished. We had booked on flights to go home the next day, but the Saudi Ministry of Information said, "We're here to take you around Riyadh," and they took us to an area which they didn't realise how dangerous it was. An Al-Qaeda main team were on their way to a meeting in a safe house. They saw us. Their commander gave a quick set of orders, said, "You must kill them," and they shot my cameraman. He died, Simon Cumbers. And they shot me 6 times and left me for dead.
And do you think that brush with death has made you or people in general that face those sort of things more kind of focused on the afterlife, thoughts of meaning, thoughts of God?
Well, I believe in God. I believe in one God. I'd love to say that prayer saved me there. Do you know, I was so focused on getting myself out of there alive. I needed to get word to the embassy so that I could be rescued, which eventually did happen just in time. So, no, I don't particularly remember praying there. I was like, right, I need to roll over. My legs are completely shot to pieces. I'm bleeding from the stomach. This is probably fatal. I haven't got long. I was 7 months in hospital. You know, it just was so many operations. It was pretty dark, depressing times there. I know it's un-PC to say, but you know, I'm crippled for life. I mean, that's my... That's what happened to me. Every disabled person is different. You know, there's all the things that you can't do. You can't run into the sea with your kids or dance or climb trees and things like that. But, you know, I try not to dwell on the things that I've left behind and just embark on new adventures instead.
How did it feel to be back at the BBC in 2005, and where on earth did you find that inner strength to come through all of that and come back to work to do the same job? It's incredible.
It was just never an option for me. I remember my wife saying, you know, do you want to throw it all in, or should we go and live in somewhere like Australia or, you know, other side of the world? And I said, no, I want to, you know, I've got a lot more to do. Well, dusk is falling here at Shakim, the US firebase right on the Afghan-Pakistani border. I'd love to say, you know, I'm doing it for the nation. No, I'm not. I'm doing it for me, because it's really interesting. You know, I still had many friends in the Middle East. It's not put me off the Middle East. I've got no time for extremists of any ilk or colour, but I certainly haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater. There are big misunderstandings. They're not unbridgeable. People tend to confuse Islam with Islamism. Islam is the religion. It doesn't mean peace, as some people claim. It means submission to the will of God. Islamism is making other people conform to your idea of what an Islamic society could be, usually by force. In my personal experience of living in Egypt twice, of living in Bahrain, of spending time with the Jordanian Bedouin, and living in the UAE, all the Muslims who I have got to know have been kind, generous, caring people with great core values. And for them, their religion has been an enormous font of security, and it's grounded them in a wonderful way. And some people are going to say, oh, you're being starry-eyed about it. I'm not. I've been there. I've been shot by fanatics, and I'm still saying that. I'm not deluded at all.
So your latest BBC report focuses on the role of women in ISIS. What did you discover, and what do you think it is that attracts women from all across the world to travel to join this movement?
Yeah, I think it'll come as an unpleasant surprise to a lot of people that beyond the horrific sex trade that ISIS is indulging themselves in with the Yazidi women that they've captured and using as slaves, they do have a grand plan for women, which is building a permanent caliphate. And the uncomfortable fact for the coalition, which is about 60 countries, is that 1 year on plus from when ISIS took Mosul in Iraq, they're still there. They control or supervise a territory the size of Britain. To make that last, they need breeders. They need women to come in and raise families, to bring families with them and breed more fighters. That's what they're doing.
You've spent over a decade focusing on the war on terror. Has that killed off your sense of optimism for society?
No. For a start, I'd never liked that expression, war on terror. I mean, it's a ridiculous concept, but I know what you mean, the whole sort of terrorism thing post 9/11. No, it certainly hasn't crushed my optimism. I mean, I do believe in the fundamental good nature of mankind, that while there are some very bad and horrible people out there, I feel that the moral majority will eventually overcome them. I do wish that more people from within those communities shouted down the extremists and say, shut up, you don't speak for us.
So what's next for you? What are you currently working on and excited about?
Well, I've just done Who Do You Think You Are, which is coming out on 24th of September. So the family secrets are laid bare. But the big thing I'm working on this year, aside from my job, which is obviously pretty full on and full time, is I am just about to hand over the draft of my first novel. It's a spy thriller, and it will be out next year.
How would you sum up what you've learnt and the way that you've changed personally, internally, as a result of such a challenging journey?
I think I've become more dogged, probably more annoying, in that, no, I'm going to do this. Look, you don't have to. No, I really want to do this. So I've probably become more forceful. I don't sweat the small stuff. I really don't. When you've had, as somebody called it, an NDE, a near-death experience, you kind of think the big things matter, the little things really don't.
Thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Frank Gardner, the BBC security correspondent.